Hi, you guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Karen Odd, and these are Karen's Oddities. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Regardless, I do want to ask that you give this video a thumbs up, comment your thoughts below, even if you disagree with my content. And I also want to ask that you share this video and our channel with one person you know, as I'm confident there is something here that both you and they can benefit from. We are continuing with the Married at First Sight Seattle Season 20 review. We're looking at episodes 17 and 18 specifically, which are like the last two episodes before Decision Day. So I'll be kind of just like highlighting my most key insights about some of the couples and what happened in these episodes. If you have not seen these episodes that were just released on Thursday, I'm recording this on Saturday. You should probably not watch this because I am going to spoil it for you. Okay, let's get into it. At the start of episode 17, we have the group of men are surrounding Felipe, specifically because at this point, Felipe and Tori have decided to call it quits, right? So what I think is interesting about this is that Mecca is not dumb, okay? Mecca likes to play dumb. And I've said this in some of my earlier episodes, just talking about the different couples. I think Mecca is a smart person. But he intentionally plays dumb sometimes when it helps him to his advantage, right? He's manipulative about it. Mecca's able to easily assess the situation between Tori and Felipe and why Tori was upset about the game that they were playing, about how the different responses that caused Felipe to win the game that, again, I mentioned in my previous video, were surrounding cheating, infidelity, lying, sexting, not being ready for marriage, like those 5 key themes that kept coming up. He understands and is able to clearly convey why Tori would be upset about that, right? Because it's also a reflection of like this person that she's potentially married to and will continue to remain married to should she decide to say yes in Decision Day. So I thought that was interesting. Caitlin wants to talk to Mecca about, not Mecca, Felipe. She wants to talk to everyone, right? She wants to talk to everyone about their relationship problems. In my head, I'm just like, in my notes, I'm just like, if Caitlin would just put all this energy that she's putting into helping everyone else into her own connection with Devin, she could potentially have a successful marriage. Potentially, right? Because Devin is not perfect. No one on these shows are perfect by any means. But it's like, girl, stop being so worried about giving advice. You can't even handle your own relationship. So I always say, and I get really annoyed when it's like, there's a saying that says like, don't take advice from people that are not in the position you want to be in. Okay. So like when I have people in my life that want to give me advice about like dating or relationships, but they're like single and looking or unhappy, or in a relationship or marriage where they're not happy, where it's abusive, all these things, I'm just like, the advice comes in and it goes out because I'm just like, it's just filtering through. Nothing is staying with me because I'm like, you need to be in a better position or work on yourself or work on your issues before you can tell me about mine. Not saying that there might not be sound advice, but I'm also like, how can I trust what you're saying when look at the way that you're living, right? Just my thought. I was very annoyed by Caitlin, and I continue to be annoyed by Caitlin. It's interesting how like the people I was most excited for at the beginning have just really turned to become incredibly annoying as the season has gone on. Caitlin is doing like a self little cam diary regarding Devin. She said it's 2 a.m. Devin just got in the shower and like he always does this. Like, I don't understand. Right before I was going to like consider being intimate with him, he decides to take a shower, or he decides like do dinner or like cook, and it's just so frustrating. Like, I'm giving him all these, and it's just like, girl, shut up. Shut up, because you don't like Devin, okay? You haven't kissed him in several weeks, and you think he's gonna know that you want to sleep together because you rubbed him on the back or you rubbed him on the shoulder, you touch his thigh. You don't want to kiss him. You probably don't let him kiss you. You don't want to cuddle with him. And I'm not saying she has to do these things, but it's like, make it make sense. You're complaining that you want intimacy and you're ready and you're showing him these cues, but you have to understand you can't go from not kissing a person for several weeks to all of a sudden one day be like, okay, I'm ready to sleep with him, and I want them to understand that. There's a lot of buildup that needs to happen before then. There's a lot of like cues that he needs to understand, or you have to vocalize it and have a conversation. He can't read your mind. And I agree. I hope that Devin was thinking this way. Devin is not going to do something that crosses your boundary. If he's a respectable man, he's not going to cross your boundary, right? So it's like, make it make sense. You haven't kissed this man for several weeks. You want to sleep with him. I get it. And you're mad because he's not getting the cue. Look at the vast space between those two like types of actions. Don't be an idiot, okay? So, Mecca's talking with Bella Jolie, and my note says, Mecca enjoys looking like a piece of shit. Okay, I said this in my previous video where it's like when he's talking about some of the stupid things, the shit that's coming out of his mouth, like the shit that he cleans out in porta potties, he's smiling about it, right? Like he's enjoying he's enjoying the attention. He's enjoying like people associating him as being like this bad guy or being this like rude guy or whatever. And I'm just like, God, you're such an idiot. Mecca, you are such an idiot. If you ever watch this, I want you to know that you are an idiot. And there's no excuse. I don't care about your daddy. I don't care about your mother. I don't care about your stepmother. I don't care about your siblings. I don't care about your upbringing. I don't care about you pissing the bed. You are an idiot. You are not a mature man. And there is no excuse for you to be the way that you are. And I hope that you get therapy and that you work on yourself. Or not. Like, I don't care. But I'm just like, it's such a disservice that Bella Jolie was paired with someone like this, truly, because she seems like a beautiful person inside and out, genuinely. Let's move on. Philippe and Tori decide to reconcile. I don't know. Whatever. Let's just keep moving. Caitlyn and Devin, they had a fight that didn't get recorded, which I'm like, I understand not everything can be recorded, but it's like, give us the full picture. I want to know what the fight was like. I want to not, they were arguing. I want to know what the discussion was like because that is going to be very telling. But then it was not recorded. So on camera, they're talking about this fight that they had that night that Devin decided to shower and she was ready to sleep with him, etc. And they go and sit by like a rainfall. And they're having a conversation, and Devin finally sets a boundary, right? He sets a boundary about how Caitlyn talks to him. And I think we have this situation with Courtney as well. Like, Courtney and Caitlyn can get very disrespectful with their couples. I know there are some people that say, like, when a man says, like, you need to respect me, it's about control, it's about ego. Not necessarily, right? Not all the time. Sometimes it's just genuinely people should respect each other. Men should respect women. Women should respect men. They should respect each other. And when they're angry or upset or arguing, they should not pass a certain threshold of disrespect, right? Cussing, yelling, different things like that. It's just a basic decency of respect. I don't think it's about control for Devin, but I did appreciate that he set this boundary with her and he said, I'm not going to put up with that. Moving forward, this cannot happen or else, right? Not or else, but he basically says like he's not going to do it. Like he's not going to deal with it should it happen again, right? Which again, we have production setting like these little seeds to let us know what's coming, right? Let's move on. Michelle thinks she's a spokesperson for this group, okay? Michelle thinks she is a spokesperson for this group, just like Sean thinks that he's a marriage expert, just like Caitlyn thinks that she can give everyone it's funny to see how people like morph into like these different caricatures in these like shows, right? Even in reality TV. My note says, this bitch is not an expert. And I understand like she's giving her insight, but honey, who died and made you Dr. Pepper? Nobody, right? Are you 60 and you've had marriages and relationships and so much more years of experience than everyone else that's sitting at this table? No. You all entered into the same experiment. You're all having different experiences. You're all paired with different people. You're all individuals. So why are you always speaking to them like from a high horse and like assessing and giving your input about whether or not they're doing enough or whether or not they're respecting themselves or giving your opinion? It's also not your background. You work in tech. So honey, everything that would give you the platform to be a spokesperson is not there. So I don't understand where it's coming from. And I really liked her at the beginning, but she's so annoying. She's so annoying. Her voice is so annoying. Everything about her is annoying. And her thinking that she's like a know-it-all or expert in this or can be a spokesperson is incredibly annoying as well. And I'm glad that Nikki clocked her shit, right? Nikki's a very smart woman. Not that Michelle is not, but Nikki's a very smart woman. She's educated. She works in HR. She knows her shit. She knows how to talk. She knows how to communicate. And she knows how to be direct, right? Whether or not Nikki is doing the right thing, staying with Sean is a different conversation. But I like that Nikki said what other people probably wanted to say. And then when Nikki was the voice, because sometimes you need to have those people that are the voice, right? They're going to say what needs to be said. And then once someone says it, the other people feel comfortable speaking up, which they did, right? Other people start, I think Felipe chimed in, someone else chimed in, but it's like, yeah, we get what you're saying, but everyone's in their own relationship. Like, just because yours is like this and you guys haven't fought doesn't mean that because we have, our relationship is doomed, or just because we decided to work through something and stay with someone does not mean that we don't respect ourselves, right? Everyone has an opinion. Everyone always has an opinion, and that's fine if people want to give it. The problem comes into when people want to give opinions from a position of like an elevated status, or like their shit doesn't stink. That's when we have a problem. And that's what Michelle and Cameron have been doing. Cameron was quiet in this conversation, and I'm glad he was quiet, right? Because I think he didn't want people coming at him, right? Because Cameron has been very like, and I'm not saying he's like hiding things, but he's been very clean in terms of like how he's communicated, how he showed up. Maybe that's who he is, or maybe he's just smart about it, right? He knows there are cameras, there's television. Like, the less I talk, the less I share about myself, my personal life, the easier it's going to be. What I do notice is that in this season, we have not met or seen like the check-ins with the parents. We have not seen that a lot, right? We saw it with Felipe. We had the phone conversation with Nikki. We know that Sean went to his mom's birthday. We haven't seen Bella Jolie hang out with her mom or meet with Mecca. We've never seen Mecca's daddy again. Thank God. Please don't bring him back on the screen. But it's like Caitlyn and Devin's parents, haven't seen any of that. So it's interesting that they didn't have that like check-in with the families again, just to see how things are going. And I don't know what that's about, but I don't like it, because I think that families and those family interactions can be very telling, right? They're going to bring out the person, the spouse. If it's their family, they're going to show that person in their natural environment with their family, hopefully. And then those conversations that they have with their family are really going to help them reflect as they are navigating this marriage and this experience. And there we go with more. My note says more games to bring up the BS, right? There is a spin the bottle game. And at some point they ask if someone were to like swap or pick someone else in this group. They ask Bella Jolie. Bella Jolie names off the girls, which is like, okay, fine. Which it was a safe thing to say, right? Or say no one. Even if there was a person that she was attracted to in the group, it wouldn't be appropriate, because these are a group of married couples, right? That have recently been married, and they're also your friends. So it's not appropriate to say. And I feel like women, for the most part, and yes, I'm going to be sexist, I think that sometimes we are smarter than men. And we know that, right? Men, on the other hand, don't think the way that we do. And they don't think enough, in my opinion, a lot of times. So Mecca's quick to say he would have picked Michelle and Caitlyn. And then someone's like, oh, I thought it would have been Tori. So it's very interesting, right? He picks two women that look nothing like Belle, right? Not that there's anyone else that looks like her, but I think that's interesting, right? He was very quick to say that. Michelle just smiled. I think they pan at Cameron. He thinks it's funny. They pan at Caitlyn, and she's just like, her smile is like so flirty. She buries her head in the couch and is like laughing and throws her head back. And then you can see Devin did not like that, right? But you can see Caitlyn's reaction. She liked that. She liked that a lot. At this point, Caitlyn and Mecca have already gone off and had conversations one-on-one. After that, she says, do you want to go take a talk? And I'm just like, in my head, like the timing of it all, and it's production. We don't know if that conversation happened before the game or after, but the way they make it seem is that after that, they decide to go talk, right? They're specifically talking about Belle. Mecca and Caitlyn are talking about the situation with Belle and the attraction and that and how things are going. But the way they're seated, facing each other, Mecca's seated on a table, Caitlyn is sitting on a couch, they're close. It does look flirty. The conversation does go off for a long time. Why do they go off and talk with each other? I'm not saying they can't do that, but we're all married couples here, right, on this show. So it's like, it just didn't seem appropriate. So, where am I? Oh, I was going to go to the next episode. Okay. So at some point we get further into the night. They're still at this couple's retreat. Obviously people have been drinking. It's getting later into the night. People are continuing to drink. Maybe they're eating, maybe they're not eating. Maybe some people can handle their alcohol. Maybe some people can't. And there is Belle, Devin, Caitlyn, and Mecca. They're all talking about how, well, Devin is talking to Caitlyn about how it is, she's been flirty with Mecca and Mecca's been flirting with her. She was wearing his chain. And then the camera does pan to show other instances where they're just like in close proximity or talking or joking with each other. Caitlyn at some point says, Devin, shut the fuck up. Okay. I don't think it's appropriate to tell other people to shut the fuck up. However, I do think there are instances that call for telling people to shut the fuck up. I don't think that was the instance. I don't think it was appropriate. But it was also not appropriate the way that Devin responded. Okay. So Devin, he's big. Okay. I'm getting chills. It's kind of cold, but I'm also getting chills because of the incident. He's big. He's tall. He's broad. He's big. Caitlyn is small. They've all been drinking. Okay. Caitlyn could have said, shut the fuck up because she'd been drinking. Or maybe that's how she talks to her partners. I don't fucking know. We don't know. He says, don't, I think his hand's like this or like this, whatever. He's in her face. He's almost towering to the point that Belle has to put her hand on his side as like, she's not like restraining him, but she's putting the hand as like a, hey, when someone puts their hand on you, when you're in an altercation, it's because they have a concern that you're going to get physical with the other person and they want to help calm you down so that your anger doesn't lead to physical aggression or doing something or saying something that you are going to regret, right? I said several episodes back, Devin has it in him to be abusive. I don't know to what extent, but there's something in there that I could see if he gets pushed enough, I could see him potentially shoving a girl or like doing something intimidating or like punching a wall or like breaking something. I can see him having that tendency. And this just spoke to it. And I think that when he drinks, it comes out more. Not that it excuses it, but it's definitely there. It is absolutely there, right? And then you have Caitlyn, someone that's experienced that before. If anything, I think I'm not going to say that comment because then it's not going to be received well. But Devin has abuse tendencies. Next, at the end, they decide to break up and you can see one of Devin's eye vessels burst, okay? Sometimes that happens from drinking, sometimes that happens from high blood pressure, but if he was yelling or like getting that upset, yeah, Devin has a potential to potentially be like abusive. I stand by that. And I'm not going to back down from that. Okay. We move on to episode 18. So Caitlyn is crying. And I think Caitlyn is crying because she sabotaged this connection. Okay. I think she's having the realization that it's like, fuck, like I had this person and she even says like, he was great. He would do all these things. Okay, girl, then why weren't you were never opening up. And I'm not saying bust it wide open and sleep with him, but you were never opening up. You had weeks and weeks to do this. You had weeks to work on this, to work with this person, to try. And now you want to cry about it? Get the fuck on. Anyway, let's see. Felipe meets with his friend and his mom. What does this say? He says something about like, sometimes, I say things and I put my foot in my mouth. Okay. Just stop making excuses for the behavior, right? He just needs to stop making excuses. Like, I understand about the joking bit, but like some of the things that he's saying, they're not jokes, right? They're not jokes. And a person that respects themselves is not going to tolerate and stay in a connection with someone that has the sentiments that he's clearly been able to convey about not being sure about commitment, not being sure about marriage, about wanting to sleep with multiple people. Yeah, maybe someone that's open to polygamy will do that, but it's like someone that wants a genuine connection in a monogamous marriage or relationship is not going to put up with that. Mecca's playing victim again. Okay, him and Bella Jolie are sitting by a sunset. They're having conversations. And he's like, I do this and I know that it's wrong. Okay, so you're saying you know that the things you've been doing over and over are wrong. So when people say that, what pisses me off is like, okay, so what are you doing about it? Because you're not stupid. You know what you're doing is wrong. So why do you continue to do it? And on top of that, what are you doing to fix it? What are you doing to address it? What are you going to do about it? Because I don't want to hear that you know. I want to know what is the action step that you're going to take to do something about it. Knowing is not enough. You have to have an action tied to it, right? I have a YouTube video that it's going to make it up here soon. You'll see it. But it's about taking action. You should really watch it. Interesting video. Okay, let's keep moving. My notes say stop being a fucking idiot to Mecca. And then you pan to, what's her name? Belle doing like a confessional after that conversation. She's like, I know it's not my job to heal him or to sit through this torture. There should be a period at the end of that sentence, Belle. But then she says, but. So then I underline but. And I'm like, there should be no but. There should be no but. And she's like, but I just think that I could help him. I have that problem too, Belle. Me and you, we got the same problem, okay? We meet people and we fall in love with the good parts of them, and we see all this incredible potential in who they can become. We see the broken person inside of them, and we know, or we think, not know, because it's not true, and it will never be true. We think that if we pour into them, if we love them, if we uplift them, if we remind them, we think that we can help them. We can't. We can't. We cannot help people. Because this isn't a child developing. This is a man that has developed into this person, has been set in their ways, and nothing that we say or do is going to change them. No matter how much we do for them, they're not going to appreciate it because they don't get it. Men like this need therapy. Men like this need self-work. And separate from that, men like this, or people in general, if you are a man and you do this to women and you want to take projects and fix them, people like that are not going to change until they are ready to change, right? Mecca knows his issues. He has this issue. He says he sabotages things all the time. He said it several times. He's not going to change until he is ready to change. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? We can want to take on projects all the time. You want to take on a project? Start painting, crochet, plant a garden, okay? Paint your house, do something. That's the kind of projects we need to take on. Me and you, Belle, me and you. We need to stop taking on projects of men that are flawed and fucked up and need therapy and have mommy issues, have daddy issues, have fragile egos. We need to stop doing that. We need to. Okay, let's keep going. Nikki and Sean. Okay, we go back to the comment where Nikki, she mentions it once in her confessional, she mentions it with the ladies, and then it comes up again in her conversation with Sean directly. Nikki says that Sean said, you are a 10 in Seattle, but in New York City, you'd be a 7. We talked about this in the previous video. What we didn't know, which is interesting the way production does us, right? And lets us see. When you get the full picture, you understand things differently. What we didn't know was Nikki was pulling at his fat on his belly and saying, look at you, look at you. So Nikki, you have to tell the whole story, honey. If you want to talk about something that he said, you have to tell the whole story, right? So she says she doesn't remember. We got a lot of people in this season that just say stupid shit and they don't remember. All of a sudden, they don't remember. I wish the camera would have panned to show us that, but it was probably in the bedroom, right? But I don't remember that. She's like, I don't remember that. I don't. Okay. Well, Sean is reminding you, unless Sean is lying, because he could be fucking lying because he's a liar sometimes. But he even says, like, he's like, I'm not making that up. I'm not lying. He's like, well, you did. And he even does the mature thing, which is one of like the more mature disagreements that they've had, where he genuinely says like, yeah, you did that to me and I was hurt. And shortly after, I responded in that way to let you know neither of us are perfect. Like, you know what I mean? And I get that. That's a simple and easy response and it's acceptable. Is it shitty? Yeah, but what she was doing was shitty too. So sometimes like When someone takes a jab at you, you're going to take it back. That's that. Let's see. Wait, what? Nikki does not. Oh, she says she doesn't remember the moment. Yes. Adam and Marissa are both sick. They got COVID and influenza. They're like together. And Marissa says she's enjoying it. You know why she's enjoying it? Because finally Adam isn't forcing her to play pickleball, isn't forcing her to get on a jet ski, isn't forcing her to do push-ups on a fucking boat, isn't forcing her to go to the gym 7 days a week, isn't forcing her to be on dirt bikes when she doesn't want to be. Finally, they're laid together, cozy. He's calm. He's being soft and kind to her because the man can't get up because he says he feels like he got hit by a truck and dragged by a jet ski. So it's interesting that that's what it takes for him to finally slow down and actually show up for her. And that's sad, right? Because everything else up until this point that Adam has been doing has been for himself. Everything. Tori says something about hope. I don't know where you're digging, Tori. I don't know where you're finding that hope, honey. Because there ain't hope. The shit is doomed. The shit was doomed for a long time. For a long time. Okay? Felipe pulls out another photo. Felipe, give her something else. You keep giving her these damn photos, thinking it's going to elicit an emotional response. Like, give her something else. Because when he pulled out that photo, I think Tori was expecting something else. I don't know if she expected jewelry. I think she was expecting like something grand because she was like excited. And then when it was like a photo, she was like, oh my God. Yeah, she wanted a gift. Okay. Cameron and Michelle. Michelle is saying that she, you know, the distances might be an issue. And then he's like, but you love your job. And then she's like, yeah. Or she's like, but you really like your job. I don't know what he says, but she's like, yeah, but I like you more. So Michelle is willing to choose a man over her career. Okay. There's no right or wrong. I have yet to meet a man that makes me choose my career over him. If I ever do that, this man has to add to my lifestyle financially. This man has to love me, respect me, be committed to me entirely, and marry me or be married to me for me to consider those things, okay? There's a quote, which is one of my favorite quotes from Lady Gaga, and just one of my favorite quotes in general. I have a lot of favorite quotes, but it's one that I keep, I had it written on like my dry erase board. I have it on my like vision board. The quote essentially says, and I don't want to butcher it, but I can give you the gist of it. The quote from Lady Gaga says, if you're ever wondering what to choose between a career and a man, remember that your career will never wake up and say it doesn't love you anymore. Something to that effect, right? Which is really interesting. If you're ever wondering what to choose between your career or a man, just remember that your career will never wake up and tell you it doesn't love you anymore. If it's not obvious based on all of my videos, my career has taken off more than my love life ever has, right? I've had incredible moments where I've fallen in love with people, for people. I've experienced strong, toxic, emotional, great love. I've experienced great sadness, great disappointment and heartbreak. But my career has just been on an up and up ever since I joined the career sector when I was 16, which would have been 17 years ago, right? My career has just been up and up. I excel great at what I do. I love my job. I love everything about my job. I make good money. I make a good living. I love the life that I've created for myself. So I'm speaking from that perspective, right? As someone that hasn't really had the success like I have in my career with men. But I do think that it's like, you have to be really careful, especially in this like modern society and time, of choosing men over yourself, or choosing men over your moneymaker, choosing men over your career. You got to make sure like what you're choosing is choosing you 110,000%, and they're not going to flip the script on you. Cameron has said that he still has those concerns about commitment. Obviously, there is an emotional connection, right? She talks about how much she likes him and how he's her person, and he says he feels the same way and he gets emotional. There is that. But is that enough? You guys have had a couple of weeks. This is his first relationship. He's still afraid of commitment. is that enough, right? Before he's walking out the door, he still talks about how he's concerned that things might like just blow up in a month or so. So it's like, I don't know, girl, please don't quit your job until you guys have had like a year outside of this experience, maybe more, but don't quit your job, girl. Mecca and Belle, my notes say, here goes this motherfucker again. Okay. He's saying that it seems like only Michelle and Cameron are on the yes island. And then Belle is like, well, I think we're swimming around it. And I think Belle is thinking about things, but what's also really important to think about is, does the positive outweigh the negative? And if it's a no, then it's like, this is what you're going to be up against for potentially the next rest of your life, right? I don't think people stay married that long anymore, but this is what you would be up against. My note is, are this motherfucker's glasses broken? Mecca has these glasses on. The frame is missing up here. A piece of it is missing down here. Frame is missing down here, but you don't have the equivalent down here. And then the side of it is like broken. Are they broken, or is that the design? It looks like Tory Burch because I have some like that, but I don't know what's going on with his glasses. I think they're broken. Felipe, here he goes again, talking about his fear of commitment. And it's getting old. It's getting old. He says that as he's approaching decision day, like his fear of commitment is just like running rapid inside him. Okay, my guy, like all the signs are there. You're not ready. You've said it 20 million times. We get it. You're not going to convince any of us. Okay. Nikki and Sean. Nikki says it's the end of the chapter. And then he's like, well, how do you really feel? Or what are your feelings about it? She starts to talk about it and he shuts her down. He's like, okay, girl, like, I don't need a whole story. Okay, then when people ask me to answer something or give my opinion, don't ask if you don't want to hear me. Don't ask if you're going to shut me down. So Nikki gets upset. It does suck that that's how they ended the conversation. But I also think like when you have a disagreement or a fight with someone ahead of like something important or ahead of a decision like that, that's nothing but God. God is setting the tone and letting you know and leaving you with the impression that you need while you take time to reflect. Because all of the things that you have to consider and think about are what's going to lead you to your decision, right? Sean is like, let's use the tools. And let me say, I make a lot of jokes. I don't believe in physical abuse or violence or domestic abuse. It's a very serious thing. But my note is, how about you get a bat and beat his ass? That's a tool that she needs to pull out. Philippe and Tori are the first ones at decision day. He says that he doesn't know if he's the man that she deserves. You're not. You're not the man. He says that he has taken 100% decisions. Okay, that's a real fucking affirming thing to say right now on decision day. He says that all the things that he says he loves about Tori are things that she does for other people. How she shows up for her family, how loving she is, how she makes him breakfast. What do you like or love about her as a person, right? Not things that are self-serving. What is it about her, right? I see that pattern a lot. So the episode ends with Tori mentioning that Felipe said something to her that was not recorded. Again, I don't know why they did that to us. That really upset her. And she asked Felipe, do you think that what you said to me was normal? He says, yeah. I wonder what he said. I think it's either, I don't know. I can't even predict what it is. I think it has to do something with like fidelity again. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Catch you guys in the next video.